Hey there, my name is Fallout, and today we're going to talk about grenade traps in arc raiders. Not only do I feel that grenade traps are really underutilized by a lot of players, I can't tell you how many times when I do bump into a grenade trap, they very often look like this, stuck right to the side of a door frame out in the open, hoping you won't see it, like some 4-year-old playing hide and seek for the first time. There are much more lethal ways to set traps for enemy players in arc raiders, and today I'm gonna show you a few. Some will be easy to avoid, others will be more challenging to avoid, and finally, towards the end of the video, I'll show you some combinations and trap locations that are very challenging to avoid, even for veteran players. And if you think at any point I've earned it, I know it's cliche, but hit me with a like or a subscribe, I appreciate it a lot. Alright, let's start off with beginner traps, doorways. Doorways can be easily trapped on the fly if you don't have a lot of time, aka you know a team is close to you and you just want to set up something very fast. The downside though is that most doorway traps are either relatively easy to avoid or just not as efficient as some of the stuff we'll go over later, but they're still worth mentioning for sure. And again, you don't want to set it up the way that new players do, which is just to put a trap in a door frame for anybody to see, or to put a trap down on the floor going straight up in the air. In either situation, any raider who has the Minesweeper perk on the red skill tree unlocked can just walk up to the trap if it's in plain sight, defuse it, and then keep it for himself. If you absolutely need to set up a simple doorway trap, I recommend trying to instead put the trap on the ceiling behind the door frame. That way, any player who opens the door and sees the laser, they can't just easily shoot or disarm the trap. They actually have to go through the doorway first in order to see it. And if you and your friends are nearby watching, y'all can open fire on the guy as he goes through. It definitely might be a bit wasteful, but to be more efficient, you can just put down 2 or even 3 traps up on the ceiling pointing down. That'll definitely ensure the enemy player has to be way more careful when trying to squeeze their way through the doorway if they decide to at all. A slightly more lethal method is by putting mines down on the floor behind a closed door. That way, when the player opens the door, the mines immediately activate right in the raider's face. Now, this might seem very effective on paper, but the reason it's still kind of avoidable is that you can hear active mines that are near you even if you're on the other side of a door. Check it out, take a listen. Now, any player who's paying attention even a little bit would hear what definitely sounds like a trap and either not open the door or carefully open it on the side and roll away out of danger. That being said, some players do not pay attention, and even if a player realizes at the last second that they're walking into a trap, you can still hop out of a hiding place and finish them off after they've been weakened. If you are going to go the mine route, I'd recommend going ham with 3 explosive mines, which yeah, does seem like overkill, but straight up can insta-down any player with full health and a light shield. Or you could do a combination of a jolt mine and explosive mines together, but that's provided you're watching the door and can shoot the player when they've been stunned by the jolt mine. For an ultra cheapo budget option, you can literally just put a noisemaker right in front of any closed door. That way, when a player opens the door, the noisemaker goes off, which won't hurt them at all, but you will know immediately, even if you're relatively far away, that someone has set off the noisemaker. Alright, why don't we move on to slightly more annoying traps, ladders and barricades. Ladders, and especially barricades, are, in my opinion, a little bit more annoying to deal with and a tad more evil, which of course is the entire point. Starting with ladders, you can put annoying stuff at the top of a ladder that will immediately put an enemy raider into a difficult position. My favorite option being a well-placed blaze grenade trap. You won't always be able to do this because it depends on the surrounding environment, but if the top of the ladder has some kind of wall next to it, you can just put down a blaze trap grenade with the laser going right across the ladder exit point. That gives the raider climbing the ladder a choice. They either have to willingly finish climbing the ladder, which will set off the trap, or they have to say F it and climb back down the ladder and find another way. You can also just put a noisemaker at the top of a ladder, which again won't hurt the guy, but it'll immediately tell you when someone has reached the top of a ladder near you. Or if you want, you can do both, your call. One thing you should really be aware of though, there's a relatively new item in the game called a pulse mine that you can buy from Apollo for 1,410 coins. When activated, the pulse mine will knock enemy players backwards for a few feet. Now, originally, I thought, wow, using that to knock someone off the top of a ladder would be incredibly evil, but turns out if you fall from a great height because you were knocked back by a pulse mine, you take incredibly reduced fall damage. It's true, we tested this multiple times from some pretty big heights, and yeah, even falling from this very high rooftop, we took no damage when hitting the ground. At the very least, you can still put a pulse mine at the top of a ladder just to annoy some random random guy, and you will hear it, but I think the blaze trap or a noisemaker is the better option. And now, barricades. I feel like barricades are really underutilized in Arc Raiders, but I've been having a ton of fun fiddling around with them. Yeah, enemy raiders can simply walk up to your barricade and break them down, but if you put any kind of grenade trap on the back of a barricade and the enemy breaks that barricade down, the grenade trap will fall to the floor and automatically detonate. You can, of course, also put other things behind barricades like explosive mines or even trigger grenades. That would probably be for if you 100% knew an enemy team was breaching the barricade. You could wait for them to finish and then detonate your trigger grenade, which would be pretty devastating. Again though, remember that grenades and mines make noise when you place them down, and any player listening carefully may decide to just leave the barricade alone completely. Although, if that's what you want, just to be left alone, then great, do that. Remember, when setting up multiple grenade traps on the back of a barricade, don't set them too low to the bottom of the barricade and don't set them too close to one another. Doing that might result in one or both going off accidentally, which is definitely not what you want. All right, now we move on to my favorite, very annoying traps, ziplines. In my opinion, ziplines are the most fun things to set traps on because they are extremely difficult to avoid. In short, riding a zipline happens very quickly, and when you reach the top, you're yeeted off into an exact location without much of a window to react to whatever might be there. Unsuspecting raiders will be thrown headfirst into the worst kind of adventure imaginable. Unlike the sponsor of today's video, Foundation Galactic Frontier, which throws you into the best kind of adventure imaginable. Foundation Galactic Frontier is the first mobile game adapted from Isaac Asimov's Foundation sci-fi series. And yeah, you already know there are legendary characters from the novels and the TV show featured in this game. Navigate your starship among a vast universe, reach different planets, and have an adventure. There are dozens of galaxies awaiting your exploration. But Fallout, I already have so many games to play. I mean, hey, you're preaching to the choir, buddy, but everyone needs a fun side game, and Galactic Frontier perfectly fits that bill. Craft, recruit, travel, explore, rob, and fight as a space trader with your own frickin' ship, which you can craft yourself, by the way. And of course there are typical ship battles, but Foundation Galactic Frontier also allows you to manipulate your hero squad to fight on surfaces of all kinds of wild exotic planets. There are tons of possibilities to carve your own path in this fun sci-fi universe. Click my link down in the video description or scan the QR code right here to download Foundation Galactic Frontier today, available on mobile and PC, and remember to use my exclusive code to get more in-game rewards, and one more time, a big thank you again to Foundation Galactic Frontier. Alright, now we resume our guide on how to go full-on Home Alone by booby-trapping ziplines. Now, you could just put a blaze grenade trap at the top of a zipline so that when someone does come up, they get lit on fire. If you do, be sure to not place your trap too close to the zipline endpoint because the dismounting raider will get launched off the zipline much further and avoid the trap altogether. You really want to put the grenade trap much further back, about this far away from the zipline itself. That'll guarantee that when they get off, they'll land in the correct spot and detonate the trap. Really, when you're riding up a zipline yourself, take note and pause when you get thrown off of the zipline at the end. You want to take that mental note of where you are exactly because that is where you want to start putting down traps. And while a blaze grenade trap is good, we can do better. If you put a blaze grenade trap and a gas grenade trap together at the top of a zipline, your victim will both take fire damage but also lose their stamina, meaning it'll be harder for them to run out of the fire. Again, try not to put the grenade traps too close to each other so they don't accidentally self-detonate. Ideally, you put them across from one another like so. But we can still do better. If you do a blaze grenade trap, a gas grenade trap, and a pulse mine in just the right location, then the victim will not only get burned by fire and lose their stamina, but if they try to run away, they'll get blasted back into the fire by the pulse mine. This won't be enough damage to flat out kill an enemy raider, but it'll remove an entire light shield and do around half damage to their health, which is pretty good. Again, you gotta drop the pulse mine a little bit further out than the blaze grenade trap, so it pushes them back into the fire as they try to run away. Now, you might be thinking, hey, why not use the pulse mine to simply blast them back off the ledge? To repeat what I said earlier, falling off a high ledge due to a pulse mine makes you take no fall damage, at least from what we found. If you knock somebody off a really high ledge with a pulse mine, like the really big zipline at the top of the spaceport map, that won't work either, because while the victim is falling, they can just grab the zipline again on the way down and save themselves. If you don't have a pulse mine, a jolt mine is a good replacement to put down at the top of a zipline along with fire and gas. Yeah, as we went over, mines make noise, but depending on how long the zipline is, the enemy raider probably won't even hear or see the mine until it's way too late. If you really don't care about cost or going overboard, 3 explosive mines at the top of a zipline is a great option because it'll insta-down any raider with a light shield that goes up into it. And of course, you can mix and match. Here's a clip of me using a blaze grenade trap, 2 explosive mines, and a jolt mine together. That also resulted in a down on a raider with a light shield. Let your evil creativity run wild. Please like and share with a friend, and feel free to come by my stream as well. Thank you very much for watching. I'm not responsible for any post-game messages you get, and I'll see you next time.